Level 5. Spoon spinning. Now at this point it's not spoon spinning anymore. Spoon spinning is more kitchen implement spinning is what we're doing now. It's gone from spoon spinning to implement kitchen spinning. We'll just call it kitchen spinning. So what do we have here? We have our spoon. What do we have here? We have a whisk. The whisk is fun because when you spin it around, it makes a neat sound. So if a spoon isn't your thing, you can totally go for a whisk. And with a whisk, we can still do our level 1s, we can still do our O's, we can still do our expanding, we can do everything that we can do with our spoon. It's just different. It's a different experience than doing it with this. Experiment with different implements. How do different implements feel on your body? Everybody has different levels of pressure that they can tolerate. I particularly have this interesting condition that I developed as a reaction to medication that's called delayed pressure urticaria. So if I have too much pressure on my body, I can get hives from that. So I had to learn how to be much more gentle with my body. So for somebody with DPU, the whisk might be a better tool for level 1 because it's less likely to trigger those hives. And then you can still get that proprioception, because really what we're doing with level 1 in finding our centers is getting a sense of where our bodies are in space. Getting lymphatic movement, doing gua sha style capillary breaking to reduce inflammation. That's all secondary. That's not my goal with level 2, which is level 1. The second level. The second level is level 1. The second level is level 1. I know it's confusing, but that's okay. Life is confusing. We adapt. Sometimes we develop things and then we recognize that there's something missing and that comes in later. And that's exactly why there's a level O. But since hoopment was my first implement, O made sense. Now we have these other implements. So, we've got our O's that we can do, which is fun because now that we have these two implements, we can cross them against each other, and that adds a different dynamic of motion. Got our 1s. And we can get both parts of our body, so now we're getting even more effective usage of our implements as we're doing this proprioceptive, getting this proprioceptive information about where our bodies are in space, as well as stimulating our cutaneous nerves and waking up sensation in our bodies and our awareness of here we are. Level 2, we expand into our spheres. Our spheres extend to the ends of our implements. Having two different implements that have different shapes and forms gives us a different challenge, because now our bodies are adapting to the differences between left and right. So that provides neurological training and stimulation as well, because the body has to adapt to the difference that we have from one hand to another. But because we know how to do all of these other motions that we've been focusing on and thinking about, we can focus on the implements and not have to worry about everything else that our bodies are doing, and just really think about how the implement feels, the difference in the variation in the implement, and let the either implement guide you, or even if you're guiding the implement, just understand and feel and get a sense for differentiation. Just for kicks, just to have something to think about while you're doing it. Thinking about what you're doing, meta-processing is a good thing. Well, not good, it's preferable to me. Good or bad isn't really a factor. It's just preferable and pleasant for me, as well as practical, so I do it. So we can have two implements now that very much like spinning poi. And as level 5 is integration, we're not having to think about stuff anymore, really. Now, as you're engaging more implements, you kind of do have to think about stuff, because you're now doing this, but because you've been working with a solo implement in each hand, your body knows how to move. So then it can just kind of put things together. And once again, don't think about it. It's intuitive movement. As soon as we start thinking about it, we kind of jam ourselves up, or at least that's what happens with me. If I think about it, how I'm moving and what I'm doing, I stumble. I stutter. I'm thinking too hard. It's the opposite of a flow state. The flow state is when we're not thinking about it. We're just doing it. We're just doing it. We're experiencing it. And in the process of experiencing it, we're observing it. So the flow state and observational learning are very much tied into each other. Because when we're in a great flow state, we are also in an observational learning state. Because our nervous system is picking up what we're doing in the very present moment better than it can when we're distracted by other trains of thought. When we're distracted by ruminations of the past or prognostications of the future, I consider that mulling. And mulling is what happens when we're doing anything other than, like, whatever, if we're getting distracted, or if we're it interferes in some way with our present current actions and what we're trying to get done in any particular moment, then we're mulling. It's taking bandwidth away. Mulling is a bandwidth thief. It's the best way I can put it. The more I mull about something, the more likely I am to miss a turn when I'm driving, or forget to do something, or whatever. Drop a ball, basically. So when we're doing whatever, we can, practice focusing on doing whatever it is that we're doing. Be present. And nothing like spinning implements around your body that when they whack you, correct you with discomfort, to learn to pay attention to what we're doing right now. The other factor too is that we learn to be gentle. We recognize that the faster we go, the harder we go, the more force there is, and the more likely we are to injure ourselves. And that applies to a lot of stuff, both physically and mentally and emotionally. So learning to be gentle in our movements, learning to be gentle in what we're doing, no matter how challenging it is, supports our well-being, both physically, mentally, emotionally, and it supports the well-being of the people around us, because how we choose to communicate, how we choose to express ourselves, how we express our needs, how we express our boundaries, how we express our preferences, how we express our opinions, whatever that may be. The way that we share our information with others affects others via facial expression, via vocal tone, via body language, via physical tension. Because as humans, we're reflections of each other. We're pack animals. We pick up on the herd. And as a herd, the way that we protect ourselves and each other is that we pick up on that sense of like, oh, danger. And then that ripples through. And we've been doing that for too long because we're not really in danger. The things that people are fighting over on many levels are belief systems. And the reason that they're fighting over the belief systems is that it's cover up over the fighting over resources that are not being shared the way that they could be shared. Because ultimately it comes down to resources, and people justify and validate resource hoarding with all sorts of ideologies. But ultimately that's what it comes down to. And if we share our resources, I'm sure that we could all eventually live off of 1/3 if 1/3 went to our local communities and 1/3 went to our global community. But that's just me. That's crazy. That's me just being silly or something. I don't know. Consider it a social experiment if anyone wants to participate. I'm going to start it whenever I hit 3,333 subscribers, because then I will be giving 33.33% of my money back. 33.33% into Hoopties International to help grow this educational resource, and the other third back into the planet, and then the remaining third is for me to live off of. And as the money continues to grow, I will continue to divide my profits into thirds. Because I can. Why not? It's a social experiment. Just gonna give it a try. See what I can do with that. If I can do something with that. And who knows, maybe other people might think it's a fun social experiment to try out too. Sure. I encourage other educators that have knowledge to share to try something similar to what I'm doing here with elementally functional family fitness. And if they're into it, you can join me at Hoopties International in seeking individuals to form a nonprofit. So, yeah, this is a lot of information, I know, but that's fine. That's what this is here for. And you can take it in and process it in your own time and place, wherever you're at, whenever you're ready, however you're ready. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to starting all over again and addressing this from a different perspective and seeing how the information changes and how the movements change as we progress. Thank you so much. Y'all have a great week or day or evening or whatever. Y'all have an awesome all the time, whenever. Thank you.